Hey everybody, it's Ken Compton from the Savvy Inspector, and today I'm hanging out with Coach Malcolm. How you doing, Malcolm?
Doing well, thank you, sir.
And if you guys don't know Malcolm, in his spare time, he's the president of Chattanooga Home Inspection, a very successful multi-inspector firm. So we're glad to drag him away from that today to talk about one of my favorite topics, the workshop. The workshop is a pretty exciting thing. We've got some new things coming this year, Malcolm, but let's talk to you for a minute about the workshop. You kind of jump-started or kicked off your career from a workshop. I mean, you weren't a home inspector in the past, and you have a very different background, and so you came in, started a home inspection company, but came to your first workshop, and tell us what happened, and then subsequent workshops, how you built on it.
Sure. I had I came from a very different background, like you said. I knew not much about home inspections, especially marketing home inspections. I found you in the Savvy group. I knew I didn't need to reinvent the wheel. Somebody had already figured this out. I attended my first workshop, and I joke often saying I drank the Kool-Aid. I didn't think it was real that we could generate this much work by doing the things that you guys intend for us to do. So we pulled the trigger on a couple things, and fortunately, they've worked just like you said they would.
Mm-hmm. You kind of have to just think outside the box and believe in yourself, and then implement the strategies we teach. Well, Malcolm, when you came to your first workshop, were you a little bit overwhelmed?
Very. I think my review was mind blown.
There's a lot of information that we teach at the workshop. You know, this isn't a goof around, have fun. This is a for real deal learning. I'm about learning and having our clients be super successful and our participants be super successful by coming. And we hate theory. We like actionable content. So after you went to your first one, you started building your business up. You've been to several since then. So each time you go, you think it's worth it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just get a lot of stuff. Last couple of years, what we've been doing is when the workshop's over, we put the presentations up on a web page for you to view for the next 12 months. What did you think about that?
I like that.
One of the things I really liked about it was what you said earlier. Your mind was blown. You sit there 2 days and guess what, or 3 days, and your mind's blown. And then when you go home, you say, what was it they were teaching about this or that? I can't remember that exact strategy. And by going back to the web page and being able to see it all again, to me, that was very helpful. I was just in a 2-day event with Beth in Florida, and we weren't the presenters. We were attendees. And, the lady gave us a nice big notebook with all the handouts in there because there was so much information shared. So it was kind of an old tree killing kind of strategy she used instead of the old WWW, but it was still good. I saw Beth looking in her book the other day for something that she was looking for. So if you just walk away from the workshop with just a great time, that really isn't enough for us.
Yeah, no, it's not worth that for return on investment either. I have a problem too. There's so much info that I got to figure out what I want to do. In the beginning, it was just me, and now we've got several inspectors and office staff and marketing people. Now we focus on a couple of other things that we want to work on. So the good thing for me is, throughout this fire hose of knowledge, we pick out 1 or 2 things that we really want to hit hard, and then kind of laser focus on those items. So, so the fact that it's up on the website and all that definitely helps us revisit that specific idea that we want to work on.
Now, Malcolm, you've really achieved a tremendous amount of success in a very short time. Why don't you share with people watching the video how long you've been in business?
Sure, thanks. Well, it's our success is attributed to our good staff and our good coaching staff. We've been in business for 3 years. We have now 4 inspectors plus myself, 2 office staff, and a marketing person. Our goal is to take 50% of our market share. Right now, we are at about 17%.
That's awesome. Now, Malcolm, are you doing inspections anymore or no?
Yes.
Okay.
As much as I want to always say no, I tend to always end up having to do them. So
you have more demand than you have supply?
Yes, sir.
That's it. That's interesting. That's awesome. I guess people who are watching this video, I want them to understand Malcolm has achieved this level of success in 3 years. Now, your firm is always in a work in progress. So is ours. You're always building, you're always, having to put out a fire once in a while here or there. But the fact of the matter is, in 3 years, Malcolm has achieved this success. He started by coming to the workshop. He saw it was possible. He's a member of the Savvy Inspector. He's also in a mastermind group. And so what happens is he just applied or implemented the things that he learned one step at a time. And in 3 years, here's where he is. I mean, he's not here by accident. So I just want you to understand that this is totally possible for you to take the knowledge that we teach at the Savvy and implement it and then be successful. I think, Malcolm, we probably have a statement on the Savvy that he who implements wins is probably pretty true, isn't it?
Absolutely. I like to take that one step further and say he who implements first wins first.
Another marketer that we know says it's not about implementation, but it's about the speed of implementation.
I like that.
So that's good. We have another saying at the Savvy Inspector that's really important. What you focus on most, you get more of. So if you're focused on your business and these strategies, good things happen to you. So that's a very important thing. Well, Michael, I'm going to say, Malcolm, congratulations, 3 years, 4 inspectors plus yourself. I know you got a support staff. You got a fleet of vehicles those guys are driving. So a lot accomplished in the first 3 years. Fantastic. We have clients that have come to the Savvy, been in business 20 years, and still a one-man shop. Want to be a multi, but didn't know how to get there.
Well, we appreciate the guidance.
All right. Okay, so the next thing, Malcolm, I want to talk about is going direct to the public for home inspection business. You and I both know, as long as you've known me, I've been preaching this, and I've been preaching this a lot longer than since you've been in the business, but before you got into business. But here's the thing. Malcolm, do you believe that the real estate market is being disrupted right now?
Of course. You're talking about by technology and stuff?
Yeah. Other ways of delivery. I saw yesterday in an article on one of the real estate publications that I read, they're calling people that use these new services, they're calling them iBuyers for internet buyers. Okay. And when you look at some things like Zillow and, their instant offer, and you look at Open Door and you look at discount brokerages, the role of the real estate agents is changing.
Certainly. I had one of our successful real estate agent friends tell me just yesterday, we have cars that drive themselves. We're not going to be around just to open the door and make 6% much longer.
You have nailed it right on the head, my friend. When you look at the issue with commissions, a year or so ago, one of our good members, Mr. Preston Sandlin, shared a story during his presentation at the workshop about his family member decided not to use a real estate agent at all. They got his sister and brother-in-law. They got a mortgage broker and they got a closing attorney, and they sold the whole thing themselves and saved $15,000. So that is a pretty big thing. That's a pretty big thing. So Malcolm, how about this? In Chattanooga, do they have discount brokerage services right now? We have one in Atlanta that probably did $60 million last year selling services a la carte. You know any in Chattanooga?
Yep, we have an a la carte company. It's actually based out of Knoxville, but they do some business here. A lot of people are heading that way. Now, again, I see the value of a real estate agent in some areas of negotiations and stuff like that, but a lot of people don't. They're going to list your house on the MLS for $150, or let us have an open house for $100, or whatever it is. But a lot of people are in our area are moving that way for sure.
It's not even just American companies. A British company has just moved here, and they're operating in limited markets right now, but they do just that. They have agents on staff as employees. So if you need this done, that agent does it. So it's like agent specialist, and they earn $100 for that. So it's what you're saying. It's going a la carte. But one of the things too is I don't think there's any house in Chattanooga that we couldn't find on the market. In other words, if you're looking for a home in Chattanooga, basically everything there is listed on the internet. Would you agree with that?
You're talking about like Zillow, Realtor.com, etc.
Yeah, all of those. I mean, I've been using Trulio and Zillow. We've been thinking about getting another home in Florida. And what happens is a beautiful thing has all these filters. It says how many square feet, how many beds and baths, and you just plug in all the filters. I want a pool, do you want it on the water? You name townhome, condominium, whatever it happens to be. And then what happens, you push the button, it shows it to you. Then it shows you when they're having an open house. Then an email reminds you that this was one that you looked at. Are you going to take action on it? I mean, just a nurturing or follow-up sequence that's fantastic.
System.
Thank you, Malcolm. That's right, a system. So, I mean, as long as, the MLS now and others don't take hand data, so the data has to come right from the brokerages. So the information is way more complete. So they've got great photos in most cases on the internet, so you got a great idea about what it is. So it's a real change. So our point by this whole discussion is when the real estate agents lose their grip on the client, on the home buyer, and you're relying on realtors for business, how are you going to make up those units? Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't go bye-bye, we've got to do our direct to the public marketing for sure.
If you don't do it, you're going to be the Blockbuster of home inspections.
Yes.
Everybody needs to wake up and smell the coffee on this, that, the way we're doing business is rapidly going away. So it's quite an interesting thing. I was reading an article the other day in a major real estate publication, and they interviewed a top producer, and he was so frustrated. He said, I don't look forward to my job anymore. Every day I get up and I have to, do all these things that we've never done before and compete with these, other services for these iBuyers. And he said, I'm not getting out of the business today, but I probably won't be around much longer.
Wow.
So he sees it, and, others see it coming as well. The commission issue was one of the things. They're really feeling the pressure. Why should I pay you 6 or 7% when the information is readily available to me for free elsewhere? So that's a real concern. So, Malcolm, I know you've gone direct to the public. The Savvy Inspector has a whole division that does online marketing for home inspectors. And Malcolm, you're certainly one of our clients. And what has going direct to the public done for you? I mean, and that's all aspects, not just a website, but all aspects of going direct.
Well, when we're dealing with just somebody that's not being represented, one that makes our job a little easier, because a lot of people know that there are some really good agents out there, but there's some that really get upset when we find a bad roof. And now we're not dealing with that. The biggest thing that I've probably found thus far from the direct the public marketing is, we still work with a lot of agents, but when we're on somebody's list and then they do their research to see those companies on the list, we are the top rated company. We come in the highest organically searched. So that just reaffirms that that they've already been referred, and now that we're on the top of that Google search or whatever search they're using, and it just reaffirms that they should use us.
That's awesome. And how about are referrals on the reviews on the internet gold, marketing gold for your firm?
They're better than gold. They're platinum for us.
I think what happens in the old days, testimonials or reviews were nice, but today they're essential. I mean, if you're unrated.
Yep. I tell our guys that while we still work with a lot of agents, we have to leverage that to get reviews. So when we do focus more on people that are unrepresented, that's the reason they'll choose us, is because of those reviews.
That's right. And please know, Malcolm, of course, you know this all about me, but I'm not anti-real estate agent. What I'm trying to do is get you to make an investment in your future. When those guys don't have such a stranglehold on the home buyer, they're going to have to go someplace else to find a home inspector, and they're going right for the internet. And Malcolm, I know when we took you as a client, the Savvy Done For You unit, to do your online marketing, it took us a bit, didn't it? I mean, that's not an overnight thing. We have to fight everybody else. There's only 3 spaces now on the snack pack, and there's 13 people on the front, and you're battling everybody else. So it's a constant battle to keep you there as well. But so it's an investment. It takes time, and what I'm worried about is so many home inspectors will ignore this when the time comes, and it can happen just like that. They're not ready, and so that's been the thing I've been concerned about. That's why I don't want you guys to do it.
It's not just a financial investment, but like you said, it does take some time to get all that set up, and it's a constant upkeep. I mean, you guys do most of that for us, but it's our job to make sure that we're getting reviews and updated content, things like that to keep our website nice and fresh.
And Malcolm, how many reviews have you got now online?
I think we're 207.
207. I mean, that is incredible. That is incredible. And so that pays big dividends. So, but 207 reviews didn't happen in a week.
Oh no, and that's Google reviews. You know, we've got other Better Business Bureau and all that kind of stuff that, you know, you guys try to divvy out for us, but it definitely doesn't come overnight, and it's definitely not easy to. It's not easy to get people to leave reviews when you're telling them bad news.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, if we were offering candy or something, it'd probably be a little easier, but it is a struggle.
So this whole workshop that we're going to do, this 2-day workshop, is about nothing but going direct to the public. And we love real estate agents, and we're going to keep teaching those strategies while they're around. But the minute they're not, the savvy clients are going to be, going directly to the internet. Tons of them already are now. So this time we said, why don't we focus this whole workshop around going direct to the public? And we'll go over the agenda in a few minutes, and you can see that there's some great stuff on there for everybody, and it'll be super easy. We've got handouts and all that kind of thing. And then, of course, after the event, then you have access, all the participants have access to the videos again, and again, all the written material, presentations, handouts, all that will be all right there for them to download. So I think it's the time has come to focus more and more on this topic.
I agree. I love this topic.
I love this topic. Okay, well, let's scroll on down a little bit. Here's some good information about this. But Malcolm, this year, we're really doing something that's kind of really different for the Savvy Inspector, and that's we're doing a virtual workshop. Now, virtual means you at home and we at home or in the office. So I'll tell you what, Malcolm, and of course you were in on the meeting when we discussed this, our team meeting. But one of the things that happens is every year home inspectors will send me a note that says, Ken, I would have loved to have come to the workshop, but you know what? I couldn't do it because it costs too much money. And you know, Malcolm, it is an investment, isn't it? I mean, let's be truthful. We just went to Boise together. That was an investment. So the fact of the matter is that if you're newer in the business or you're not quite as successful yet, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, not only that, I think we could probably poll all our members and say, have you ever missed a workshop because you had to stay at home and work?
Right. Yeah. And how many times we had husband and wife teams there and the wife is on the phone the whole workshop time and really not in the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of frustrating. Well, let's take a look at this because what the Savvy team is trying to do. We're trying to get more and more people to be able to attend the workshop, and we don't want cost to be a barrier. So what I did, I said, you know, is there any legitimacy to what these guys are saying about how much it costs? So I just broke it down. And Malcolm, look here, $597 is what we charge for a 3-day ticket. Whether you're buying 1 ticket or 5 tickets, it's $597, and it's been that way since 2006. And then transportation, $350. You got to buy an airline ticket from Atlanta to wherever. I think our tickets were about $400 to Boise each for Beth and I. So if you drove, that might be a tad less, but you would still have to figure in your time. Hotel 4 nights at $129 a night, which is usually the rate we negotiate with the hotel for the participants. That's $516. Food and beverages, $300. Knowing how some of these guys like libations, that's a pretty low number.
That's a very low number there.
After hanging out under the big top with a lot of good home inspectors over the years, I know my bill was way more than $300 for the days. And then I said, if you had 8 inspections that you missed because you came at $350 an inspection, that's $2,800 in lost revenue to you. So that totals up to $4,563 to attend the event. And I get that. There's lots of advantages to it, and everybody really learns and networks and that kind of thing. So I get it. But this year, we said, you know what, could we do this another way? And I don't know if you know this or not, Malcolm, but a lot of larger companies and smaller companies as well, every second or third year are doing a virtual event. Have you ever attended one?
A virtual workshop?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I've attended a couple, and I've actually bought the videos from the most recent traffic and conversion because I couldn't be there. And the ticket was $2,500, and that wasn't what was bugging me. I just had a conflict in schedule and couldn't be there. So for a few $100, I bought the videos of the events and the handouts, and it was fantastic. And I have been watching it, our staff's been watching it, and it has been fantastic. I've learned several new things. So we said, hey, why don't we try a virtual workshop this year? We're not going to do away with live events. Please know that. Malcolm, you and I discussed that this morning. We have some new live events coming up. Malcolm and I just attended a mastermind group meeting in Boise with around 14 or 15 of our mastermind group members for 3 days. So live events are very important, but you can't reach enough people who need to get this information through a live event. I mean, our hotel rooms, we can only get 140 rooms, and you know, you got to get your vendors in there and all that, and it just isn't enough space. And again, it's the money thing for so many home inspectors. But the way we're doing it now for this event, for the 2018 workshop, that shouldn't happen. So if you can put 4,563, keep that in your pocket. That's pretty attractive, huh, Malcolm?
Oh yeah.
With all the expenses we have as an inspection company, you know, $4,563 is a winner.
You know, speaking of expenses, I mean, looking back, if you were actually pretty close to me geographically, so I drove to the first workshop that I attended. But if it wasn't that close and I would have had to buy a plane ticket, I honestly don't know if I would have went.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. You got to be away from your family. And, you know, a lot of people, if we do it on the weekends, we'll do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We usually do on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You got to be home from your family. And a lot of people have worked all week and they don't want to be away from their family for the weekend. So the other thing that happens too is if you want to bring, let's say, your manager with you to the event, then double the ticket price. Now it's $1,200. So, you know, we have costs when we have it in a hotel, and it's expensive. And so what happens is, as you well know, we do lunches, buy lunches, and do all the things, have a big cocktail reception each evening and that kind of thing. And, you know, it's hard to lower the cost there, but doing it this way, we can do it. So anyway, I think a lot of people won't buy the plane ticket and that kind of thing. So let's talk about what you're going to get. So again, we're talking about reducing your dependency on real estate agent referrals by leveraging direct to the public. So let's talk about this. Why a virtual workshop? What are the benefits? You can consume the content from the comfort of your own home or office. Now, Malcolm, does that appeal to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, if I don't have to drag my suitcase out there and the whole thing, and I can sit right here in my office and watch this content like I'm doing with the other content I bought, it's fantastic. Tickets are way more affordable. We touched on that. There's no big hotel, no big overhead expense. I don't know if you know this or not, but when we do, Malcolm, an event, the equipment for sound and the projectors, the audio-visual stuff is over $5,000 for 3 days. You know, and what happens is if you're in a city with union labor, you can't hook it up yourself. A union worker has to hook it up, and it's $80 or $90 an hour. When you go to Las Vegas, look out, man! You can't touch the equipment. Okay, so it's over $5,000 just for that. So when you reduce all those costs, strip all those costs away, we can do this way more affordably and open it up for everybody. Your entire staff can attend for one price. So you know what, Malcolm, you're not buying two $5.97 tickets. How many of your staff would you want to watch this?
We're going to have our marketing person and our manager. We're going to just sit up here in the office and watch away.
I love it. I love it. So it's really, really a way to get the information into the people's hands that are going to be doing the work. Because, you know, truth be told, as big as you've gotten already, you're not doing the day-to-day everything, are you?
No.
Yes, I was going to faint. No, of course you're not. You know what happens is this is why you hire people. You leverage their efforts to help the firm grow. So we say to the savvy members, you know, if you can't come to the conference calls that we have each month, the teaching calls, send your staff person. Let them get on the call. They're the ones to be implementing the stuff into the firm anyway, hopefully. Sure. So that's it. So your entire staff can come for one ticket price. You can, if you got to do an inspection, and sometimes that happens. I mean, Malcolm, you haven't been doing inspections for quite some time, and now because you're short and demand's high, you're jump back out. So if you need to jump out a minute and do an inspection, you can still come back in and attend the rest of the 2-day event live. And you know that that the materials that you missed while you were doing your inspection is going to be available to you for the next 12 months to follow up on, you and your staff. So that's a pretty thing. And don't forget, it's about saving that ton of money. Saving a ton of money, because you nailed it just a minute ago. You know what you said? You said if I had to jump on a plane or drive to Dallas or to Fort Myers, I probably wouldn't have done it. So that's, a lot of people feel that way. They do feel that way.
Now, that was before I attended the workshop. Now, in retrospect, I would certainly do it. But, for the first time, yeah, I don't, it's questionable.
There's a review on the site here, and the lady's name is Laura Kramer. She's a wonderful lady, and her and Hans have been clients of the Savvy Inspector for many, many years. And so her review was, you know what? I didn't really want to come to this. I didn't really think it was going to be any good. I really didn't think I was going to like it. I didn't really think I was going to learn anything. But damn if I wasn't wrong. So I always make sure the staff puts that review on there, because you know what? That a lot of times what people think. I'm going to spend all this money, and what am I going to really get?
Right.
Malcolm, you know we're all about education. How many times do I have to rope everybody in? It's time to get back to class.
No sidebars.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to teach, so it's a good thing. So I think learning at home, in the comfort of your own home, you want to go up and get you a cold one, you can still continue to watch. Yeah, so that's a good thing. So, but you know what? We just described what was in it for them to do it. And you know what? The benefits, here's what you're going to get. 2 90-minute business building presentations. 8 90-minute business building presentations on how to reduce your dependence on real estate agents. So we're going to go soup to nuts. In a minute, we'll take a look at the agenda so everybody can actually see it. One time, Brian Murphy told me not long back, said, Ken, you're the only company that does an event every year and never sends an agenda in advance. We don't know what it's about. We just show up. So I'm like, well, okay, so you learned each year, so you keep showing up. But that was a funny thing, but we'll show the agenda. So you get to a 90-minute or 8 90-minute business building presentations. Then we've got 2 panel discussions. And each year, Malcolm, we do it. I know that you've spoken on the panel discussion for our members in the past or our participants at the workshop. And it's really cool because this year we're going to be talking about one panel, the pros and cons of being a multi-inspector firm. A lot of people are thinking about it, but they're worried, will the inspector screw up my reputation? Will they say something stupid? Will they miss something and get me in a lawsuit? We hear that over and over and over from home inspectors. You probably felt it.
There's some cons. I mean, there's pros, but there's cons also.
I mean, when you look at the expense of vehicles that you purchase for the inspectors and, uniforms and a lot of the things, it's there are pros and cons. And, then there's the employee management and, all those kinds of things. However, you can take paid vacations.
You can break both your ankles and still make money. So
yeah. I thought Malcolm was going to say, what's a vacation? Malcolm has a brand new baby boy, so he's thinking about vacations more and more. Leave them with grandmom and see if we can't slide out for a quick weekend. Being a new parent is a fun thing, but it's pretty full time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other panel session is going to be with successful home inspectors. Everybody who's on the panel is super successful about what they did in 2018 that was successful, and what are they going to do in 2019 to build on that success. Because success is not a straight line. And you have to continue to implement and add new strategies. I mean, Malcolm, if you just quit doing the strategies that you're doing now, what would you think would happen?
Business would taper off, surely.
Over the years, we've heard home inspectors say, when I'm not inspecting, I'm marketing, I'm not inspecting, and when I'm inspecting, I'm not marketing, and this is why their income has gone up and down, up and down. So you have to do it. And so by listening to these guys about what they did in 2018 sparks a ton of ideas for our participants, and then it gives them some insight into what they're doing for 2019. So that's always been
panel discussions.
Yeah, those are good sessions. I really love them. We already talked about it. All the video and audio recordings of the presentation of the workshop will be on a website, on the Savvy site, and you can just go there. It'd be, you have to have a username and password. We'll give you all that stuff. And then all of the handouts and the other materials that accompany the presentations then will be on that website as well. Now, Malcolm, when you think about it, aren't those the same great benefits you get from one of our live events?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, truth be told, great education. We haven't figured out a way to do a virtual workshop and get that big tent put up, but we're working on it. We're working on it.
I love live events. I love seeing everybody and cocktail hour and socialization. But at the end of the day, the reason I'm paying that money is to find out ways to grow our business. So I can take vacation. I'll see you guys later. or people that are we don't want to see, we may not see. But at the end of the day, it's about growing our business. So
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. So we're going to get on and talk about a couple other things here in just a minute.